Are you a current or future physician assistant wanting to learn more about finances? Then join me on this journey to become a PA the FI way. Hi, my name is Kat, and I'm a practicing certified physician assistant who will be your host. It took me 5 years after I started practicing medicine as a PA to thoroughly dive into my personal finances after I discovered the concept of financial independence. I want to use what I have learned to help you avoid some of the financial mistakes that I have made while sharing some of the financial wins that I have had along the way. Join me as we discuss financial strategies to guide you to becoming a physician assistant on the way to financial independence. Welcome back, everyone, to the PA the FI Way podcast. I'm your host, Kat, and in today's episode, I have a very special guest. Her name is Victoria Rivera, and she is a PA as well. Welcome to the show, Victoria.
Thank you for having me, Kat.
I'm so excited to dive into a couple of different topics today. We're going to talk about a lot of information about PAs owning their own practice in medicine, as well as entrepreneurship, and a little bit more about the area of medicine that you work in particular. Before we get started, could you tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, I have been a PA since 1999. I'm originally from the Midwest, from Detroit, transplanted to California via Hawaii. I've spent most of my life here in California, and I currently live and work in California.
Awesome. And could you share a little bit more about your journey to becoming a PA?
Yes, my journey to becoming a PA. Okay, I've been a PA for a while. I went to PA school here in California to the Western University of Health Sciences. I started my PA career in emergency medicine. Then I went into family practice. I've also practiced OBGYN, internal medicine, and now functional medicine.
You've been in so many specialties. I love to hear that. And that's one of the main things I love about our profession, the diversity of the areas that we can practice in.
Me too. The flexibility and just the enrichment of your professional and your personal life is just PA profession provides that.
And my suspicion is that all those areas of medicine have really helped you in your current role as a functional medicine PA. Would you say that that would be the case?
Yes, particularly the family practice because of the breadth of knowledge that you have to have in that general setting.
And how long have you been in functional medicine for?
I started functional medicine professionally in 2014. I've been studying functional medicine since 2006. It's an ongoing process.
Yeah, that's awesome. And functional medicine is definitely an area of medicine that I feel like we're not taught that much about in PA school. Could you share a little bit more about functional medicine in general for some of the listeners who may not be very familiar with it, and then also how you got into functional medicine as a PA?
Yes, I agree. I was not even aware of functional medicine when I was going to PA school. Functional medicine, according to the Institute of Functional Medicine, is a systems-based biology approach to chronic disease. That means that when we look at the person, we really are looking at the person, and that's the focus versus the disease. We take a very comprehensive approach to assessing the person internally within their external environment. And we see signs and symptoms as interrelated. It is not a reductionistic approach to assessing chronic disease. It's a very inclusive and comprehensive approach.
Great. And could you maybe provide an example or two of how functional medicine could be utilized if someone comes in with, some of those general symptoms that people often start by seeing family medicine, and then how could functional medicine help them?
Yes. So it's interesting because most of us functional medicine practitioners have been functional medicine patients. And I, myself included, I was chronically ill 2009, 2010. I had quite a bit of GI issues, functional GI issues, fatigue, mood issues. And I went from family practice to GI to neurology to psychiatry to all of these different specialties to try to understand what was going on with me. I wasn't able to get any answers, so I went to a functional medicine practitioner myself, and I learned that I had mold illness, which I was completely unaware of, but I had an episode, it was in 2009 or 2010, where my car got flooded because it was an El Nino year in California and the freeway flooded and my car got water damage. I took it to get repaired and to get that cleaned out, but apparently there was an issue with mold in the car. And I commuted to work, so I was breathing this in every day, and I had headaches and fatigue and a lot of sort of reactive airway disease and a lot of anxiety, really. And I was doing all of the traditional things, and I was getting the testing through family practice. I did CT scans, and anyway, everything came back normal. So I kind of got labeled histrionic, and I was prescribed antidepressants, but they didn't do anything. So I thought I need to really just start looking for practitioners that can look at things out of the standard. And so I did, and I found a functional medicine MD, and she was, she was great. She just said, okay, I want you to do this test, and this test. These are not tests that you're going to find in conventional medicine. She identified that I had mold internally. She treated it, and I got better. It was like magic.
And with that experience and getting into functional medicine, it sounds like there are a few different routes that you can go. Which route did you go for your functional medicine training, and how can someone learn a little bit more about it?
There are quite a few nowadays. So I trained with the Institute of Functional Medicine, which is the industry gold standard and the founding organization for functional medicine. That requires training. You have to go through 7 different modules, and then you have to sit for an exam and a case study to become certified. But in addition to IFM, there's also online programs, something called School of Applied Functional Medicine, which I'd say I dabbled in. I took a few semesters with them. But my personal belief is that the Institute of Functional Medicine is really the gold standard in the industry. That's the organization that I would recommend. It's really geared toward licensed medical professionals. So it's combining both the ability to prescribe when you're treating environmental medicine illness or other illnesses, and also combining diet, lifestyle, supplements, this combination of the two.
Sure. And out of curiosity, if a provider such as a PA or a NP or an MD were interested in undergoing the training for functional medicine, how long is that training for? Or does it just kind of depend how quickly you pace yourself and things like that?
Yeah, it took me 4 years to get through the training and to become certified. It varies greatly. Some people will go straight through all the modules and get it done in a couple of years. I'd say the most of us, it's taken longer because they're grueling. And the testing is really, really, really challenging too. So, yes, it varies quite a bit.
Okay, great. And then what do you enjoy most about practicing in functional medicine?
I love the challenge. Yeah, I really love thinking outside the box. I love engaging with patients and people, and the functional medicine approach is very comprehensive. So you do take more time to really see the person and see what's going on with them in their entirety.
Great. That sounds like it's a well-rounded, holistic, more comprehensive and thorough approach in general.
Yes, yes, it is.
And in a moment here, a little bit later in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about you being a business owner. But before you do, what was your experience like working for other practitioners as an employee?
Great question. It's very diverse. I'd say in the 90s, when I started, in the late 90s, I had most of my experience was in private practice with a single physician owning the practice. I had a I had a work family. I had like a work home, and I worked with the same doctors and PAs, and the same staff for 14 years before the physician who owned the practice passed. And that was the highlight of my profession. There was a family, there was community, there was like so much support and development of relationships between colleagues. And I was just thinking about this the other day. So at that time, I remember when I had, let's say I was working in clinic alone and everybody was on vacation, if something came up acutely and somebody presented to me, I could get on the phone and I can call the GI, the group that was just down the street, and I'd say, "Hi, Doctor whomever, it's Victoria Rivera, PA. I work with da 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 in family practice." And they go, "Hi, Victoria, how's it going? Yeah, I have this new patient that's presenting. They're new to the practice," and then I go on, and they help you. So there was so much camaraderie. There was so much, I'd say, community within in medicine. And nowadays, what do? I go to up to date. so, so it working for other people had a lot to do with the age, the time where I worked. And I feel like things changed pretty drastically as technology entered into medicine, so that the not only patient care, so your relationships with patients become more fragmented, but I feel the same thing happened with the medical community too. So yeah, I don't get on the phone anymore and say, "Hey, so and so," because you can't even get through to them. You can't.
Yeah.
Most people don't even. They don't even. A lot of practices don't have phone numbers. They can't access you by phone. It's through email, through other means. So it was great. And then I'd say I valued that sense of camaraderie and community so much in medicine that later, after those years, I've never really found my work family in a traditional setting. And it's actually one of the reasons that I really kind of another reason I got drawn into functional medicine, because it's another community of like-minded people. And I feel like it's the same with us, with PAs, right? It's like I'd like to create a community of PAs. And I have to honor you because you're doing that. You're supporting our community and you're supporting us. And I feel like that is so important because we've lost connections. It's so ironic, right? Because we've lost connections, but then here we are using technology and we've gained connections.
Right.
So yeah, I've had a very diverse experience working for other people.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I agree that it's really fun and interesting to talk with all sorts of PAs and all sorts of specialties doing all sorts of amazing things on the show. So really excited to have you to share a little bit more about your business ownership and how it has been from going from employee to business owner and all of those things. So again, thanks for joining us and sharing your story, Victoria.
Oh, thank you.
So, with having that experience where you felt like you were in a really supportive environment and then were feeling as though things were becoming more fragmented as years passed, what eventually led to you starting your own practice as a PA?
I'm so passionate about functional medicine. So I think I started to steer my direction toward functional medicine when I became really ill. And I realized, wow, there is a need. If I'm going through this, likely there are a lot of other people that are having similar experiences and they're not getting the help that they need. And I saw the power in it, and I knew that that's what I had to do. I had to learn functional medicine so that I could serve people just like myself that weren't able to get the help that they needed in the traditional route.
Then, once you started practicing as a functional medicine PA, did you own your own practice right from the beginning, or did you work collaboratively or under a physician from the beginning when you first were a functional medicine PA?
No, actually, you're right. I started working with a medical doctor in her functional medicine practice, and I worked with her for a few years, and it was a really great experience because I got to observe how she ran her practice. But I realized that I wanted to do things the way I wanted to do things, and I also wanted to get paid directly for my services.
Sure.
So I made the decision that, I've done the training. I have experience. I've worked professionally in functional medicine, and I needed to figure out how I could start my own practice as a PA. So yeah, I started working for somebody, and that really inspired me to start my own practice.
And what do you feel like it's been like owning your own practice, and what have you enjoyed most about it?
I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. The thing I enjoy most about it is the freedom, the flexibility. I enjoy me being responsible for everyone, or for me, because I am everyone. I am the practitioner, I am the MA, I am the administrator. I like all of the roles, and I like to be the one making the decisions about how I want to work, when I want to work, if I want to work, all of the above.
Yes, I definitely enjoy the flexibility, the autonomy, being able to make my own schedule, put blocks in my own schedule, all those things. I definitely hear you on that, Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
And could you share a little bit more about what types of businesses you actually own at this time?
So right now I run a solo cash practice, a functional medicine practice, and that's what I do the majority of the time. I still work 3 hours a week virtually for the family practice that I have worked with for probably 7 or 8 years now.
Okay.
So after I left my work home, I went to work for another doc that I knew from the community, and I started working with him, and then I transitioned to starting my practice, and slowly just kind of faded out, and now I'm just doing a few hours because I have these relationships with these families for some people for like 20 years, and it's I enjoy keeping up that continuity of care.
That's amazing. And in that role, are you doing strictly family medicine, or are you doing functional medicine in that role just through a family medicine clinic?
It's kind of a combination. So the patients that have stayed with me, they know me as the person that knows about holistic medicine. They're like the holistic medicine PA. So they will come to me and they'll say, "Oh, I was at my cardiologist and they want to put me on this drug. What do you think about that? And do you think that there's some sort of a non-prescription alternative, or a lifestyle or diet or exercise?" So they come to me for that advice and that information.
Okay. And then in your solo cash pay functional medicine role, is that all virtual, or does that have an in-person component at all?
It is completely virtual. Yeah. I segued into a virtual practice during COVID and it worked out really well. So I just continued virtually.
Awesome. And then how has becoming a business owner as a PA been empowering for you overall?
Wow. I learned so much about myself. I love business just as much as I love medicine. you know, yeah, I love it. Really kind of shapes, it helped me build confidence. Yeah, build confidence and self-esteem. So, really putting yourself out there does take a leap from being a W-2 employee to a practice owner. And in that process, there's a lot of depth that you build in your character. So, yeah.
Very cool. And Victoria, do you think that more PAs should become business owners? And then if so, why?
Yes, 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 and yes. Yes, I do. In fact, I spent the last 2 years working on an online course specifically for PAs to help guide them through the process of starting a solo cash practice. Because when I decided that I wanted to start my cash practice, that was challenging. It was very challenging trying to find a reliable source of information. I didn't have any background in business, so everything was completely new and overwhelming. And I decided I wish that I had some sort of a guide or a book that could help me, as someone just venturing into this whole new world of business and medicine. And I thought, well, I need to create it, because it doesn't exist. So I'm going to create it because I want to offer something for PAs who are curious and who want to launch their own solo cash practices. So I have, and I call it the Beginner's Guide to Starting a Solo Cash Practice. And it goes over the medical and legal steps, but it also goes over a step-by-step process of starting the actual practice. What type of EMR should you be, virtual versus brick and mortar, the type of malpractice, collaborating physician. So all of the steps that are involved. And I really hope that it helps people who were like me going, where do I start? What does all this mean? Why can't I get a very clear answer to many of the questions that I have about PA and practice ownership?
That's awesome that you created that course and curated it for people, because when you are trying to think about whether or not to leave a W-2 role as an employee and shift over to either a solo cash practice business owner or an independent contractor that does use insurance like myself, or opening a brick and mortar type of clinic, like you said, there just really aren't many resources out there. And the ones that are out there, it can be really tedious and time consuming to go through them, read about it, watch videos, those types of things. So it's really nice that you curate it all into a course for people who are interested about it.
Oh, yeah. I found that even though I did months and months of research online, and I joined membership programs, and I reached out to other people who are already going through the process, the information was inconsistent and it conflicted. It often conflicted. So that I thought, gosh, poor PAs, they have to go through this process. It's so frustrating. They just need some reliable information that's streamlined to help them to achieve their goal of practice ownership. So this course is for PAs.
Awesome. And you shared a little bit of information about the course, but could you tell us a little bit more about the course and where the listeners could find it if they're interested to learn more?
Yes. So the course is available on Teachable, and there is a link that will take you to the course, or actually take you to a free video offering that kind of highlights the course. And the URL is palaunchpad.com. So palaunchpad.com. And that's how you can find out about the course.
Thank you. And I'll definitely include that link for the listeners in the show notes if they would like to check it out and access it really easily for them. And then, like you said, they can watch the video. It's free. They can learn a little bit more and decide if they're interested in going forward with the course to learn more.
Exactly. Yep.
And I really appreciate you taking the time to share your story overall, Victoria, today, and what you have been through as a PA and what you are doing as a PA. Do you feel as though there's any other piece of information that would be helpful for the listeners, or any piece of advice you'd want to leave them with today?
One of the reasons so I wanted to create this course to give a clear step-by-step process on opening a solo cash practice. But again, I really wanted to create community for PAs, to create camaraderie and connections. So having PAs like myself, like-minded, who are interested in business ownership, so that we have each other to support each other in this sometimes, it's not the easiest process. So I hope to connect with other PAs, and I hope to support them in their journey of PA ownership.
That's wonderful. And if the listeners would like to connect with you or reach out to you, how could they find you or reach out to you?
They could reach me at primaverafunctionalmedicine@gmail.com. They can also reach me through my website, which is primaverafunctionalmedicine.com.
All right. Well, thanks again, Victoria. I feel as though the course would very likely be super helpful for many PAs out there who are on the fence about whether or not to start this and begin their entrepreneurial journey, or even potentially add to their entrepreneurial journey if they are doing other business endeavors as well.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you decide to continue to join me along this journey of becoming a PA the FI way. Please take a moment to press the subscribe button on the platform that you are listening to this on, but more importantly, consider sharing with another current or future PA that could benefit from the information that we reviewed in this episode. Take care and have a great rest of your day. Until next time.